Okay, so we've seen PyCharm being used for debugging. In fact, it's a really powerful code editor with loads of features. I'm sure there's plenty I don't know about, many that I don't use, and I'm sure that's true. It will be true of you too. So really, it's a case of finding out if you're finding you're having to do something repeatedly to your code. It may be the case that you can find a way of doing that much more quickly using PyCharm. Let's have a look at some of the things that might be useful. So one thing it's useful for is highlighting missing arguments and parameters. So for example, this would have been very useful for those examples we saw with the function problems last week. So if you look at programs from last week, so here's a program 11, you can see that it's highlighting the fact that this argument isn't expected. Why is that? Well, so this calculate function is expecting 2 parameters, but this, where it's called here, it's given 3 arguments. So if we use PyCharm to run this rather than idle, it would have instantly warned us that there was something wrong. If we look at 12 from last week, some of the things you'll find that, okay, I think that was 12. So this is telling us, no, that was 11 we just looked at. 12 is telling us this value, unexpected argument. 13, there's a missing operation parameter unfilled. So again, this calculate function is expecting 3 things and we're only giving it 2. Some of these things, some of the warnings are you could ignore. Okay, but it's worth checking through them to make sure that if you've got a bug in the code, the first thing I'd do is check through the warnings, see if there's something that's missing an argument or unfilled parameter like that. 15. Okay, that one isn't helping. So it won't fix all your problems, unfortunately, but it will give you some indication of where the problems might be, and that's really helpful. Okay, yes, actually that's something I hadn't pointed out. It's spotted there that combination won't be assigned a value, so it will have the value none if the user has typed in something other than plus or minus. What else can you do with it? If you make a syntax error, PyCharm will highlight it. Let me go to this example here. If I forget to put that, I forget to put the semicolon, the colon at the end of the line, you'll see a little red squiggle, and there's a little indicator up here saying there's 1 error. This means if you see an error, it means the code won't run. So we have to fix that. If you click on a variable and hit Shift F6, you can rename it everywhere it's used. Okay, so for example, suppose I decide I want number 1 just to be called num1. Shift F6, and just type num1, hit the refactor button, and you'll see that not only does it change it here, but it also changes it here, 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 and here. So it's a quick way of renaming everything in the program. Everything, where it makes sense to get renamed. If you didn't have that functionality, you'd have to do it. You want to change the name for all of these things, you'd have to do it manually, obviously. If you want to find out where a variable is used, you can do Alt F7. So, for example, or even a function, actually, that's something else you can do. So this input and convert, I can click on that, Alt F7. It gives me this window down here where it's telling me where they're used. It takes me to the lines where that function is used and shows me the context here. Okay, so I can find where functions or variables are used in the code. If I decide I want some code commented out, I can hit Control and the slash, and that will comment it out. So suppose I want. Can't think. Oh yes, the bit at the bottom. Maybe I don't want that anymore because we don't need that because we're running in PyCharm. Control slash comments a whole chunk of code out. Could be hundreds of lines, obviously. And what's really useful is I find this really saves a lot of typing. If I want to maybe use this number, or I maybe, let's do get some more information from the user. Info equals input. And you can see as I start typing, it tries to figure out what it is that I'm typing. It could be the input. It doesn't know. Obviously, it's not going to give me the values. It could be the input function that's built into the library, or it could be input and convert. Okay, that saved me a lot of typing, and then I can, decide what I'm going to put in there. It's telling me it needs a prompt and it needs a conversion function. Other number. So it's really trying to help you construct the code correctly, and it saves you a lot of typing. Using that code completion is really, really helpful. Okay, so what have we seen? We've in this lecture, because we're kind of halfway through, we've reviewed quite a few of the topics that we already saw. Basics like flow of control and statements, operators, comments. But we've also looked at how to install and configure PyCharm and do debugging, and we looked at other features in PyCharm. Now's a chance to go and practice your new debugging skills.